Hello, I'm Rich Friesen and here to present another one of Rich's reframes. And today, rather than looking at something out there and reframing it, I want to tell you a very personal story of my own financial limitations. And I'm telling you this story because I discovered through both building my own trading firm and as a coach for traders and entrepreneurs that many have internal limitations they're not even aware of. So with this story, I'm going to give an invitation to you to look to increase your awareness of any potential internal limitations that may be holding you back. Well, my story starts in April of 1995. It was like 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden I woke up. There was this voice that I could hear as clear as I can hear a friend when I talk to. And this voice said, "Rich, you're only worth 200,000 a year." I can remember that voice as clearly as I heard it then. So I looked around. There was nobody else in the room. My wife was sleeping peacefully beside me, and I got up. I showered, got dressed, and I drove to the options floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, where I was an independent market maker. Now, I got there so early that the exchange wasn't even open. So I sat on the concrete steps and waited for the doors to open. Now, when the doors opened, I right away went to the Micron and Microsoft pit where I was trading, and I stood in the very best spot in the pit. Now, to understand what's going to happen next, I need to give you some background. I worked for a large arbitrage firm trading options on the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the Board of Trade, and the Pacific Exchange on the options floor. And when I decided to go on my own, I didn't have all the capital, all the research, all the massive amount of knowledge and information they had in the pipelines. I was one guy. So first year, I was very careful. I made $125,000. The next year, being very careful, I made $150,000. The next year, 175. Do you see a pattern here? And the next year, 200,000. And that's where the pattern stopped. It was 200,000, 200,000, and another 200,000, which brings us to that middle of the night of April of 95. So I got to the exchange floor, the doors open. I stood in the very best spot in the pit. Now, most of you don't know about trading pits, but the spots aren't owned. In other words, you don't rent a spot, you rent access to the floor. And whoever gets that spot is usually the toughest, the meanest, the person with the most capital, the person with the most, crowd control, community awareness, the most gravitas. In other words, you don't stand in that spot unless you really have the ability to stay there and have something to offer and can keep everybody at bay. It is a dog-eat-dog world. Well, I went, I stood at the best spot, Rich Friesen. Now, you need to understand that Rich Friesen normally stand at the back. If you look behind me, I would be one of those guys way at the back there. I'd carefully calculate options values. I would take a bite out of little orders here, bite out of little orders there, very carefully hedge myself. And as a result, I made a little money. But as I said, that day I stood in the best spot. Well, I was the first one there, obviously, because I was there right when the doors opened, and trading started at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. So everybody kind of wandered in, and the guy who always stood there, the guy with the biggest account, the guy who actually could change prices of Micron stock. He traded so big. So the bell went off, and he tapped me on the shoulder, saying, "Okay, Rich. Rich, hey, Rich." I didn't move. Well, you can imagine what happened. There was a pushing match, and the order book official standing right there, he said, If you guys get in a fight, it's a $10,000 fine each. Well, 10,000, you could manage that, but I pretended I had concrete boots and I didn't move. And when the bell went off, I went nuts. The pit thought that Rich Friesen had gone berserk. Buy him! Buy 20! Sell you 50! Sold! Buy him! I'll buy 30! Buy him now! 30! Wow. And I went on to make $650,000 that year. And that voice in the middle of the night meant I was ready to make a change. Now, about internal limitations is that it was not the end of them. I went on to take that money and I built a trading firm and hired many traders. I had a methodology. It was safe. We hit singles and doubles, took really small risk. And some of the traders just took that methodology and just started making money like I did. But there were a few other traders that were unable to do it. And I thought, maybe they have the same internal limitation that I did. So I brought in a hypnotherapist. It happened to be my sister, Wendy, was newly minted as a hypnotherapist and was very eager to apply her trade. And what we discovered is that one of the traders, his father, who he respected and loved dearly, only made $150,000 a year working very hard. And when that trader got up to the 150,000 mark to make more than that easily without working hard, his subconscious mind said, hey, you're disrespecting your father. You're saying that your father worked far too hard and wasted all that effort when you could make money easily. Another trader was from the West Virginia, and he came from dirt poor farmers. I mean, newspaper on the walls for wallpaper kind of dirt poor. But he was really smart and he started making money. And when so many zeros got into his bank account, all of a sudden a voice said, hey, you're not part of your family anymore. You're different. You're not connected. There was a part of him that was so fearful of losing his family and losing that connection to his roots. And apparently in terms of his family and extended family, that was what you did. You took care of family. And being separated from that family, his subconscious kept him from making more money. A third trader had a severely handicapped brother, and he knew if he made more money, if he made a lot of money, his mom would come to him and ask him to take care of the brother. And because of the resentment he had built up from his little brother, because he got all the attention, he solved that by just not making money. So what I'm asking you and why I'm telling you this story is, do you have an internal limitation? Do you have a ceiling on your income? Now, there's a lot of people who talk about manifestations and vision boards and having a positive attitude and having a better relationship with money. But the difference is that I had the skill, I had the knowledge, I had the experience, I had enough capital, I had everything in place. It was just ready to blow. And all that held me back was that $200,000 ceiling because I felt I was not good enough, I was not worthy enough, and I didn't deserve it. And when that voice woke me up in the middle of the night, kaboom, it all came out. So, what skills, knowledge, expertise, what value can you deliver to others that could literally explode like that? And this is my invitation to you to look at, to see if you have internal limitations that are keeping you from your goals and your mission in life. Rich Friesen here with Rich's Reframes, and I will look forward to talking to you again. Let me know if this triggered any thoughts or any additional awareness in your own life, and I look forward to some creative conversations.